In this draft, it says this: it is time to heed the Constitution and return the issue of abortion to the people's elected representatives. So to Alex's point, it would become a state issue. All right, joining us now to talk more about this, Brian Claypool. We welcome both of them to the program.
Before we get into the sort of inside politics nature of that topic, which is an important topic, Brian, your initial sort of reaction to the decision itself.
Hey, Alex, Marla, great to be back with you. You know, in my many years of being a trial lawyer, one thing I have learned is that the law never, ever really stays the same all the time. So I'm not totally surprised by this, but as Jessica said, it is kind of a shock to the system. But look, Alex, if you dig a little bit deeper, though, what Justice Alito is saying in this draft opinion is that the federal Constitution doesn't have language in it that affords federal protection for a woman that wants to have abortion. What is the net effect of that? What does that really mean in California and other states? Much like you said, Alex, women still will have a right in many states to have an abortion. If they elect, they will likely travel to sanctuary states like California. So in effect, this isn't totally gutting Roe versus Wade. It's simply saying you don't get federal protection under Roe versus Wade anymore, but the states now make the decisions, and women will likely matriculate to the states that will allow them to have an abortion.
What about the fact that because this is so rare, or a leak like this, the draft opinion, it runs 98 pages. This is all from Politico's reporting. It has a 31-page appendix of historical state abortion laws. It's replete with citations to previous court decisions, of course, 118 footnotes. My point is this a done deal? Would you be surprised if, in fact, minds are changed and this is not the majority opinion when it is likely to come out within the next couple of months? Brian?
Well, Marla, I think one of the reasons why this was leaked is because if one of the justices now changes his mind, then the argument's going to be made by the conservative groups that this change of mind was only due to undue pressure from the public, and that the undue pressure from the public should have never played a part in the change of one's mind. So I think that's the motive behind it. And to Jessica's point, I clerked in the United States Circuit Court of Appeals in law school in the 11th Circuit in Atlanta, Georgia, and I helped write opinions, as Jessica said. So I think your likely culprit is probably somebody in the law clerk basis that leaked this.
So are you saying, Brian, you think that somebody on the conservative side is leaking this to try to get them locked into these positions?
Yes. Exactly. I think the strategy is to preempt any change of mind now, because then they're going to make the argument, oh, wait a minute. The only reason why one of the justices changed his mind is because of all of this pressure from the entire country, from people that don't want Roe versus Wade to go away. And the argument is going to be made that decisions, especially by U.S. Supreme Court justices, should not be based on public pressure.
And this is going to shake up politics in a big way. The governor of California already out with a tweet on all of this, saying our daughters, sisters, mothers, grandmothers will not be silenced. The world is about to hear their fury. California will not sit back. We are going to fight like hell. He, in recent months, has been tweeting a lot, speaking a lot about big national issues, not as much about local issues. Some political experts believe that's more of him potentially gearing up for a presidential run and feeling pretty confident about his run for governor of California. But we're seeing, Brian, already these battle lines that are being drawn between the states. And you said that people can still travel to other states, but the issue is going to be cost, right? I mean, the concern for a lot of abortion rights advocates is that poor women, or especially young women, people that are the victims of rape or incest, or in situations where it's not easy to talk about this, might not have the means to travel. One of the things that's being discussed already in California is potentially helping people through taxpayer funding to travel to do this. It's going to be a very controversial thing. We've got to sneak We're back discussing the breaking news from Politico, a draft opinion that Roe versus Wade could very well be about to be overturned. Marla, Planned Parenthood of California just put out a statement saying that this is the nightmare scenario we in the reproductive health, rights, and justice space have been sounding the alarm about. And we're talking about California, what could come next year.
Yeah, and California could very well be, by all accounts, a sanctuary state. But let's bring back the attorneys that have been helping us with this discussion, making sense of this. Jessica Levinson, constitutional law, and Brian Claypool, thank you both. When we were going to break, Alex, you brought up the point that this could send other women into other states to get an abortion. Brian, you had some thoughts about that.
Yeah, 2 points I wanted to make. And Jessica is right that this Supreme Court decision, if it holds and becomes final, does eliminate Roe versus Wade legally, but symbolically, as you saw through Governor Newsom's tweet that Alex pointed out before the commercial break. I mean, California is going to battle for the rights of women to make choices, their own choices. So the battle doesn't end because of this impending Supreme Court decision, number one. Number two, I think you're going to see many nonprofits spawn as a result of this decision, if it becomes final, to help women possibly cross state lines and to help finance things like travel and hotel accommodations if they, for example, want to come from one state over to California.
Right. Brian, let's continue on this conversation. And in terms of where do we go from here? In terms of politically, too, because you think about, there are some Democrats who have called, let's add more justices to the Supreme Court. Let's do something to try to overturn this. We're going into a midterm election where it looks like Republicans have an edge in a big way, but could this start to change those dynamics as well?
Yeah, Alex, you made a great point earlier about the political aspect of Supreme Court justices. You made an excellent point about, wow, if Hillary Clinton had won that presidential election, you and I and Marla wouldn't be talking right now. And I think that, to me, I'm a civil rights lawyer as well, but this is kind of a sobering moment for me because I feel like at times, many other people might feel this, that the Supreme Court justices, it's become politicized. It's become more politically motivated instead of, what is that justice's true soul? What does his or her soul really tell them about a vote? And I think we're missing a lot of that in some of these rulings these days. We've become so fractured as a country, red versus blue. But getting back to your point, who knows? Maybe there'll be more Supreme Court justices at some point, number one. And number two, remember, this decision, if it becomes binding, might change in another 5 or 10 years, right? The three of us might be back here in a decade, our health permitting, talking about some new justices out there that shoot down this decision. So nothing is ever static in the legal world.
Our Senator, Alex Padilla, of course, from California, he tweeted, too, that says it's time for Congress to get off the sidelines. We must protect the fundamental right to choose. So that's, of course, our senator. And then locally, even more on the micro level here in L.A. County, the Board of Supervisors tomorrow is going to be taking up a pilot project aimed at making the county a safe haven for women seeking abortions and reproductive health care. So we know where we are. We know we're in California. We know that we're in a blue state. I just want to get your final thoughts, Brian, on you've been practicing law for decades now. How big of a deal is this?
Yeah, I mean, this is a monster deal. Let's face it. I mean, Roe versus Wade is like the Michael Jordan of basketball, right? Is there any other more landmark player in basketball? Was there ever a more powerful landmark Supreme Court decision? I mean, let's face it, Marla, for all these years, I mean, even I thought Roe versus Wade was untouchable, right? It's the poster child case for the United States Supreme Court. It's about what the Supreme Court is and what it means to the country. So to have Roe versus Wade usurped, I mean, this is a real devastating effect for a lot of people across the country.
Conservatives have been fighting for decades to make this happen. and it appears that they may have made it happen. Brian Claypool, thanks for your perspective. Really appreciate your insights tonight. We'll be right back.